Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tips and tricks that I use to help me get more reading done in my everyday life. Now, this is also a little bit of a celebration because I have reached my Goodreads goal for the year early because this is only midway through October, so we've still got a little bit of time to go. I have read 20 books so far this year, and whilst that might not seem like a lot to some people, that is a big achievement for me. So we're going to celebrate today. So as always, grab your beverage of choice and let's get into it. So yeah, I've read more books this year than I think probably any other year. I usually sit about the 15, 16 book mark for a year. Tend to get through one book a month, which I've not been happy with for a long time, right? But my life can get really, really busy. As I said in a previous video, I'm an actor, so if I'm working on a show or on a film or something like that, that's very, very time consuming and doesn't leave me with a lot of time to read. But this year, I feel like I have planned my reading life better and I've already achieved my Goodreads goal of 20 books. I'm halfway through Frankenstein, that's what I'm reading right now, so I'm probably going to hit maybe 23 books by the end of the year. That would be great. I mean, 25 would be amazing, but I would be happy with 22, 23. I'm happy with 20, honestly. I think my best reading year prior to this has been 18 books. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And I just wanted to share with you some of the tips and tricks that I use and that I have used this year to help me get more reading done and maximise my reading potential. So the first reading tip that I have to share with you is take the pressure off. You should be reading because you enjoy it, right? If you're a reader, if you love books, it's something that you enjoy, it's something that relaxes you, it's something that gives you a bit of escapism. So as much as having these Goodreads challenges and these goals in mind, I think is always a good thing. Take the pressure off. Don't let it be about the numbers or reading a certain amount of books or just take the pressure off, okay? Reading first and foremost should be a hobby that you enjoy and that you feel good doing. It shouldn't be something that in the back of your mind you're like, I've got to get through this book because I've got to read this amount of pages today or reach my Goodreads challenge. Don't force yourself through books that you're not even enjoying because you need to meet a goal. Reading is one of my only hobbies that I do purely for the joy of it. Some of my other hobbies I do for fitness, for example. I do pole classes, right? And I love pole and it's a hobby, but I also do it to stay fit and healthy. And I guess you could argue that reading makes my brain healthy, but yeah, reading is one of the only hobbies that I have that I do solely for the joy of it. I don't do it to prove anything to anybody else. I don't read for anybody else. I read for me because I love to read. So take the pressure off is my number one tip. As soon as you remove the pressure of how many books you need to read, you'll probably find that you'll end up reading more because you're approaching the hobby and activity with a more positive mindset, so you'll actually want to do it. A little bit of reverse psychology for you there. My second tip, if you want to read more, is schedule in your reading time. Reading is a form of self-care to me, and I think it is for a lot of readers. So schedule in that time the same way you would schedule in a little pamper session to do a face mask or whatever. Schedule in, even if it's just half an hour a night, to read your book. That's what I personally like to do. I like to, have my dinner, do whatever I need to do around the house, and then schedule in at least half an hour to read my book. And that makes sure that I'm reading at least maybe a chapter or two every day. My third tip is always take your book with you, or your Kindle, whatever you read on, wherever you go, okay? There is nothing more frustrating than when you unexpectedly have to wait somewhere. I don't know, your bus or your train gets cancelled, your friend's running late, you have more time than you thought you would in the day and you don't have your book with you and just end up needlessly scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and you could be filling those moments with reading your book. So always take your book with you. Even if you think, I did this last week, I was like, I'm not taking my book today because I know I'm not going to have enough time. I'm not going to have any time to read, and it's a physical book, so I'm not going to fill my bag with it. I'm going to leave it. Did I not end up with half an hour free that I could have read my book, and I was so frustrated? Don't be me, okay? Learn from my mistakes. You're better than that. Take your book with you. Tip number 4 is, honestly, it's okay to be a mood reader. I am such a mood reader, and I think it's liberating. You should be able to read what you want when you want. Don't let other people, social media, anyone else influence what you read. Now, obviously, I'm saying that, and yeah, I'm on Book Talk and BookTube, so obviously I'm influencing maybe what people read, but you know what I mean. I feel like when we grow up, you know, we go through school or high school, if we go into college, uni, and a lot of the time other people are dictating what you read, and that takes the enjoyment out of reading. I hear a lot of people when they leave uni, they're like, I don't want to read again because I've just read so many books that I didn't enjoy through uni, or even if they did enjoy it, it's like they read it because they had to read it for an assignment or whatever, so they now don't have an interest in picking up a book again, and I think that's such a shame. So I would encourage you to really see what mood you're in. What do you feel like? Are you in the mood for a bit of a fantasy escapism? Are you in the mood for some sci-fi, some non-fiction, some true crime, some historical fiction? Like, what are you in the mood for? And pick up books according to your taste, and don't let anyone shame you also for what you like to read. I know lots of people that love reading like fairy smut and all that. All the ACOTAR books are big right now, and it's not my thing at all, but I would never shame someone for reading that, because if you enjoy it and it gets you reading, great. Like, who am I to judge, okay? I have a massive hyperfixation with Greek mythology. I know that's not everyone's bag. I love it, and if it gets me reading more, then I'm just going to embrace it. So read what you want, when you want. Tip number 5, I think, I'm kind of losing count. We'll go with tip number 5, is try out genres and see what works best for you. So as I said, I'm really into Greek mythology right now, but that was not always the case. I actually used to kind of shun Greek mythology a bit, because I was like, it's a bit over the top, fantastical, I don't think I'm really going to be into that. And then I picked up Circe and my whole life changed. So dip your toe into new genres. Maybe you've never read non-fiction, maybe you've never read historical fiction or self-help or fantasy or sci-fi or dystopian or YA, whatever it is. Just try a couple of chapters, okay? It might not be your thing, but at least then you'll know, you know what I mean? And you could end up falling in love with it and being like me and having a new fixation on Greek and Roman mythology. Like, I'm so happy that I finally picked up Circe, because it's just opened a whole new world, a whole new genre to me, and I'm so happy about it. So, you know, dip your toe, see what you like. Tip number 6, I think, is try audiobooks. I actually just read my first audiobook this month. It was In the Flow by Elisa Vitti, I think. It was all about syncing with your menstrual cycle, and that was my first audiobook. I listened to it on Spotify because they're now offering, I think it's like 15 hours of like listening time for their premium members, so I took advantage of that. Sometimes I find non-fiction books or like self-help books or reference books a bit hard to get through when I'm physically reading them, so I actually really enjoyed listening to that. I felt it was easier to absorb the content. So yeah, definitely give audiobooks a try if you haven't tried them before. That would be a really good way, I think, to up your reading count and maybe reach your Goodreads challenge early, because obviously you can only read in certain situations. Like, you can't read a book when you're driving or, you know, in certain other situations, but you can listen to an audiobook. So that's what I would do. I would kind of reserve my audiobook listening to when I was driving to work, or maybe putting my makeup on in the morning, getting ready. Like, times where I couldn't physically hold a book and read it, I was filling with listening to my audiobook. And so yeah, I would definitely give that a try, because I think that definitely will help bump your numbers up. My final tip, and I've no idea what number this is, I'm going to say it's number 7, is join a book club. I joined a book club last month. It's called Classics and Cocktails, or Cocktails and Classics, I think it's called. And yeah, every month we read a classic novel and we have a cocktail and talk about it. So, I mean, it's a win-win. What's not to love? So last month we read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and this month we're reading Frankenstein. And I'm really enjoying it because it's given me the motivation to read the classics. I have read classics in the past, and there are classics that I enjoy, but I do sometimes get put off by them because I think they can just be very clunky and wordy and long, and sometimes I just get put off by them. So this book club is giving me a really good excuse to actually pick up a classic a month and read it, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I really enjoyed The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which we read last month. By the way, that is so short, so if you do want a quick short book to like bump up your numbers on your reading challenge, it was only like, I think it was like 90 pages. It's actually a novella, not a novel. So read that one. It's perfect for spooky season. You'll get through it in like a night. It's so small. I'm reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley right now, and I am surprising myself how much I'm enjoying this book. I'm loving it. I actually am struggling to put it down, and I find that quite unusual for a classic. I wouldn't say they're always a slog to get through, but sometimes I'm like, right, okay, I'll read another chapter, whereas with this book I'm like, oh, I want to read it, like I don't want to put it down, I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, join a book club, because that'll definitely give you the motivation and also hold you accountable a little bit. So that maybe if you're like, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered reading tonight, blah, 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 then you'll be like, oh, I've got that book club at the end of the month and reading this book and I want to have it read, so maybe it'll give you a little bit more motivation. But anyway, those were my top tips for getting more reading done. Let me know how you're getting on with your Goodreads challenge below. I will have my Goodreads linked, because I could do with some more friends on there. I'm a lot more active on there now than I have been in the past. So let's link up on Goodreads. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!